Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsucharuramardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Thou son of Vasudeva and the supreme bliss of thy mother Devaki, the destroyer of the forces of Kamsa and Chanura, to thee, O Krishna, as Guru of the world and as God, we salute. The Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, which is divine manifestations, Vibhuti Yoga, and verses 4 and 5. These are always taken together. So the fourth and fifth verses. Intelligence, wisdom, non-delusion, forgiveness, truth, control of the external senses, tranquility of the internal senses, happiness, sorrow, birth, existence, fear, fearlessness, and so on, as are well known. Then the fifth verse is non-injury, equanimity, satisfaction, penance, charity, fame, infamy. These different states of the living beings spring from me alone. Now, this needs a little explanation. It's a straightforward verse, but what is important is they spring from me alone. That is, they spring from reality. We've subtitled it the different states of living beings. Why? Some live in a penthouse, some live in the streets of Los Angeles as homeless. They're different beings, and there are different in the zoo, and then there's somewhere. They're all different people. No. Your states of existence depends on your state of the mind. We always live here, and that is reflected outside. So that's why saying the different states of the beings, he never enumerated the king and the president and the this and the that. No. This is what. So it starts here. That's why he's saying intelligence and wisdom and the whole list of things. We find what is the cause of these very states of the mind. So the commentators are very clear. They are saying these states of being, not only mind, the states of mind are the states of being. They are the result or the consequence of two things, purity and impurity. Or we have one thing, purity and less impurity. So everything now depends on purity and impurity. They give rise to these things. So the Sanskrit is Buddhir Jnanam Asammoha Shama Satyam Dama Shama Sukham Dukkham Bhavo Bhavo Bhayam Cha Bhayamevacha Ahimsa Samata Tushtis Tapo Danam Yasho Aisha Bhavanti bhava bhutana matta eva pritak vidaha. These matta eva, from me itself, the different pritak vida, they arise. So it also now is demonstrating that lordliness of the Lord. I mean, not a kind of a Lord one who lords over it. It's not something like that. We are trying to understand the reality. So sometimes it's spoken of as kind of, yeah, it's Lord, it's the Lord. I mean, there's nothing other than the Lord who is going to be a competitor. So just one. We have one Lord. So intelligence, buddhi, is the power of the internal organ, antakaran. So we have the internal organ of the sense of identity, memory, we have mind, and we have intelligence. These four comprise the internal organ. And they have different powers or aspects or functions. So intelligence is one function of the internal organ. Like we have the external organs, these are the, you can say, sense organs. And then we have the motor organs, and we have also internal, you can say, organ. So it's the power of the internal organ, antakaran, that probes into subtle things. Wisdom, second. Wisdom is the discernment of what is true and what is untrue, the self and the non-self. One must be able to have this, the understanding of all, everything, of things, everything becomes clear. Non-delusion, okay, without proceeding, without being perplexed, without being, most of the people are kind of perplexed or confused or doubting. In this person, there is no kind of perplexion. That's why it's called non-delusion. We'll come down to a further explanation of this. So, what is that? You must be able to do and say and think things which have been proven by valid knowledge. Whose valid knowledge? Your valid knowledge. You should not have any biases. Yeah. Whether cultural or religious or racial or whatever, no, it has to be perfect. That's why you see things, we see things generally through filters. Take off all filters and see things as they are. Then it becomes non-delusion. Forgiveness, this is also good. It's remaining unperturbed, because this world is a world of duality, and you will always be praised and you will always be blamed. Sometimes you're praised and blamed by the same person, sometimes at the same time, but generally at different times. Okay. So, you must be able to forgive. Okay. And then truth. Oh, that is, of course, speaking just as you have understood it, and according to time, according to place, and according to circumstances. You must be able to speak the truth or relate things which you have seen or heard. And if you have heard it, then you say, I've heard it from so and so. In the life of, in the gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, you say that so and so, that person has said this. He's always quoting. No plagiarism here. So then we have control of the external organs, sense organs, the sensory organs. That is, here the commentator says, the withdrawal of the senses from their objects. How does one do that? If you have a nose and you have a sense of smell, somebody lights a nice kind of incense stick, that thing is going to go inside there and trigger the brain and But the moment the senses are freed from the duality of attraction and revulsion, they become free. So that's the idea. And then after a certain length of time, after you practice yoga, you can actually withdraw these senses from the objects. Like the Bhagavad Gita says, as we have seen, like a tortoise withdrawing its limbs, so a person can withdraw all the external sense organs from the objects. That is called Dhamma. Kshama is the withdrawal or the tranquility or the control of the internal organs, the mind. The mind becomes still and placid. Why? Because when it is still, it becomes luminous. Our minds are dark because it's whipped into a kind of a frenzy. It's always kind of like, it's like a madhouse there. I tell you, it's a madhouse. It's a bedlam, as you say. Shrieking, shouting, and this and that, and everything is going on there. So when all these energies have become quieted, what you get is a luminosity. And that is why these two words, Dhamma and Shama, are always used together. Control of the external organs, control of the internal organs. Okay. Sukham, happiness. What is happiness? Here. Well, happiness, everybody wants happiness. Who wants to be sad? There would be happiness. But what is the cause of happiness? Here, the Bhagavad Gita is very clear. It is virtue. Simple as that. A virtuous person is a happy person. You may not have anything in the world, but you can have happiness. And that's what the rest of the world is running forward to here. With their millions and billions dollars and this and that. I want happiness, I want happiness. Can I buy happiness? Say, I have $1 billion. Take it. No, sorry. And a simple person who has got nothing but just happiness, because that person is virtuous. That's why all the religions have been speaking about desist from those kind of vicious acts and thoughts and deeds. Sorrow, dukkam. It's a kind of unfavorable feeling. Again, it arises from vice, bad blood, bad thought. We see a consequence here, but that thing has started rolling long back. It rolls down and we see here, oh my God, that person is so sad. Oh, see. Then you go back and see, this is where the whole thing started getting dismantled. And that's how you find the consequence here. So dukkam. Sorrow. Birth. Bhava. Origination. Birth. Things come into being. And bhava, existence. Is existence coming after birth? No. Existence is actually before birth. You are existent always. Asti. So many people equate birth with existence. I came into being. If you have come into being, you will go out of being. And that is not liked by Vedanta. We don't like to have everything as non-beings. We want to have being. And if being or bhava, or you can say existence, is there, it means It has to transcend the past, the present, and the future. You cannot have suddenly, what happens is, that person is born, but then the person is born, suddenly God throws him down here, and then suddenly takes and pulls him up here. So that kind of theology is kind of, well. It's opening itself to a lot of, God is all powerful. Yeah, you try to defend all your gods with all your arguments. So you don't need to, God does not need you to defend. Okay. And for the last 2,000 years, we've been trying to do that. So in Vedanta, it is existence. In the past, the present, the future, it is one continuous existence over and over. It is infinite. It is eternal. That is what it is. There is no coming into existence on the birth. And then there are some births who are, have a terrible birth. Children are born with kind of all these defects. So what wrong did these guys do? So you have all these questions. Anyway, so that's why he uses the word bhava and bhava. Okay. Then fear, bhayam. Everything is fraught with fear. You do something, you're not sure the thing will result in that particular thing, which I expect. So there's always a kind of fear, there's uncertainty there. What if? What if suddenly a huge kind of earthquake comes and we are waiting for the big one in California? Yeah. And we're waiting. How long do you have to wait? Well, we don't know. Well, when it comes, we can be oblivious. We can be oblivious now. But there is those guys who study, they know, oh yeah, waiting for the big one, the big rumbler. Who knows what's going to happen? So fear. And its opposite, fearlessness. When you are one with your Atman, you become fearless. You know that nothing is going to destroy you. So all these are springing from the reality itself. So in the Sanskrit verse, buddhir jnanam sammoha shama satyam dama shama sukham dukkham bhavo bhavo bhayam cha abhayam eva cha. There are two and. So the Bhagavad Gita says, it's one and, intelligence and wisdom and knowledge and fear and fearlessness and birth and it's a connecting link. And the other and also means like intelligence, and it's supposed to be understood non-intelligence, wisdom and ignorance, control of the external senses and no control of the external senses, control of the internal senses, mind, and no control of the external. So its opposite also should be taken into account. Okay, it's very nice. These guys, Sanskrit is a wonderful language, kind of, and it's so precise. And you miss one and, you'll say, why two ands are there? Cha and cha. This is the meaning. So it's just sheer poetry. Then the next verse, the fifth verse, is non-injury, ahimsa. This is a great kind of attitude, quality in life. And it's considered one of the highest dharma, ahimsa paramo dharma. So non-resistance. It's not of a weak person of saying, oh, I'm so not non-violent and not aggressive. But it's a strong person, that person who can be aggressive, that person who can be violent, who can hit back, that person holds himself or herself back. That is ahimsa. Otherwise, it's a non-virtue. Everybody is using that guy as a doormat, and they say, oh, actually, I believe in non-injury. Okay, get more and more trampled about. So, otherwise, sometimes virtue appears as vice, and vice appears as virtue. You have to be. So, ahimsa is injury, ahimsa non-injury. And that's why the whole of the Mahatma Gandhi's, you can say, freedom struggle was based on this. See, the world has seen and has tasted enough of violence all through. Let's practice this. And it was found to be even stronger than violence. Yeah. When the Britishers were supposed to be thrown out, we had 300 million Indians. Even if all of us would have just kept on blowing hard, they would have been blown away. It would have been a kind of a bloodbath. They had nothing doing. Keep quiet. Push with peace. Even if you're beaten, be quiet. Don't react. Then the aggressor, oh my God, the aggressor has a conscience and whatever, even if the aggressor is under orders. Oh God, no kind of thing. Of course, there are exceptions, but generally, the aggressor always loses. Always. It has been found throughout history. The one who's involved or loves to kill, himself or herself gets. One who lives by the sword dies by it. So ahimsa, non-injury. Samatha, equanimity. That is, when the mind is equanimous, there is no feeling of, you can say, inadequacy. You are kind of just there. Your mind has become luminous, you are just there. That's a beautiful state of, and you will see each and everybody as equal. You will not be judgmental. Tushthehi, satisfaction. Alam pratyaya, okay, enough. Have a little more, just okay. Take a little and be satisfied. There should be no greed. There's a need and there's a greed. So, whatever is needed, you take that and don't be greedy about the rest. Okay. So, satisfaction. Then, tapaha, austerity, or penance, or mortification. It is, don't let the body become too soft through enjoyment. Everything is nice and comfortable. A comfortable life is it's a soft life. You become softy. Then you have something like anxiety and depression and post-traumatic stress disorder and this. Any small memory is kind of making you crazy. What's this? Is this some kind of human existence? No. Every time crying, weeping. What is this kind of existence? So, this brings power to the body and the power to the mind also. This idea of mortification. You must be able to push your body to certain limits. Imagine a person wants to practice for the Olympics. Okay, I'll eat what I want, I'll drink what I want, I'll sleep as much as I want. You think he or she is going to become an Olympic medalist? Not possible. That guy will put himself or herself under a discipline. That is what is important. So the discipline. tapa, austerity. Dhanam, charity. Yeah, you give charity where it's actually required. Again, I said time, place, and circumstances. Generally, people are giving their money to other rich people. You scratch my back and I'll scratch your back. Okay. Charity really is, there's a particular need there, go and address it. Don't make a big show out of it. Go it with all humility, because you have been given an opportunity to serve others. So as in one of these, you can see, great valedictory speeches, Shraddhaya deyam, ashraddhaya deyam. Give with, you can say, faith. Do not give without faith. Shriya deyam, hriya deyam, bhiya deyam. Give with all that humility, etc. So that much is charity. Yasha, fame. Fame, why should it? No, this is not just fame. We have, from the parking lot we can see that huge billboard. Fame is fleeting. Perfection is eternal. Yeah, permanent. So from here you can see that. Fame is fleeting.
And it says fake is fleeting. It says fake is fleeting, real.
Fame.
Fake.
Fame. Fame is fleeting. Just go and check. Fake is not fleeting. Fake is there, all over the place. So you have that kind of billboard out there. So fame, today a person becomes famous, and the next day the person is gone. The person is criticized. So we have fame, which is, you can see, the result of one's virtues. A person who may not have anything, but that person has virtues, that person becomes well known. That is what is called. Otherwise, we are living in Hollywood, you see. It's a place for fame. And also, that's only for the few. The rest are just left out in the cold. Ayasha, infamy. Yeah, so, you always get criticism also. But then that is also part of the world. Ayasha, infamy. So why people, you will get this infamy? Because people will condemn you because of your vices. So virtue and vice, these are the results. So here is saying, Bhutanam, of all living beings, they spring from me, matta eva, all these spring from the reality. So I'll just go once more to the enumeration. Intelligence and non-intelligence, wisdom, non-wisdom, non-delusion, delusion, forgiveness, non-forgiveness, truth, lies, control of the external organs, non-control of the external organs, tranquility of the internal organs, non-tranquility of the internal organs, happiness and sorrow, birth, death, existence, fear, fearlessness, again non-injury, equanimity, satisfaction, austerity, charity, fame, infamy. All these different states of living beings spring from me alone. There it is. Everything has sprung out from there. In the Upanishads and also later on in the Bhagavad Gita, you will have the tree of the world, which has its roots in Brahman and its branches below. And this whole branches and this leaf, it's a mighty tree of life where everything is connected with every other thing. No leaf is separate. That leaf is separate from this leaf. It's connected. and it has its roots in that reality. So this is one of the illustrations to show that everything has sprung from one root, from the reality. The next verse is, here we have a little time. Maharshaya sapta purve chatvaro manavastata madbhava manasa jata yesham loka ima prajaha. My God. So here he's saying, the ancient 7 sages, wow, yeah, the 7 great sages. The 4, you can say, Manus. The first, you can say, the creators. Creators is the better word. Okay. Who had their thoughts fixed on me, Mad Bhava. And then he's saying, Manasa Jata, they have sprung from my mind only. In fact, the whole universe has sprung from the mind of God. That's why they say, this universe has sprung from the mind. In modern science and all, it is matter first, and then we are trying to find what is that consciousness? Something, there must be something around there. And now those neurons firing and that firing, and that chemical soup gives rise to something like consciousness. And crazy. But now they're getting smarter. There must be something deeper there inside. It's fixed in the biology. Oh no. Then they're getting deeper and deeper and deeper inside. And that's a good thing. I was just mentioning the latest issue of Scientific American is showing, is there a fundamental reality beyond time and space? Space is considered absolute, huge. Time, absolute. Now they are questioning even that. Is there a fundamental reality beyond time and space? Yeah, the latest issue of Scientific American. Now you can understand how things are proceeding. Oh, there's consciousness in the brain. Oh, sorry, please. The gut microbiota also is responsible for what goes on in your head. Oh, really? Yeah. So, they've taken the mind out of the brain and thrown it out all over the body now. It's fixed in biology. So that's a good thing. So they're saying in the classical Vedanta, you can say philosophy is the whole universe comes from the mind. And as the mind becomes grosser and grosser and grosser, it becomes something called appears as matter. There is no such thing as matter. Which today also we say that what is matter? There is something called energy that appears as material. There is no such thing as matter. But what do we experience here? That is an appearance. So, and then he's saying, and of whom are these creatures in the world? So, we had these first progenitors, and they were the ones. We never had Adam and Eve. Sorry. We had plenty of them first. In the first shot only. And not only Adam and Eve came and going around naked, what to do, and we had things coming out from the mind of God, and whatever comes from the mind of God, these sages, they were born out of the spiritual power of that spiritual mind of God, and it has become, they have been omniscient. So the world springs from the spiritual mind. So the world in a way is spiritual. We see it as material. That intuitive vision comes towards the end when you see the whole world as a spiritual world. Otherwise, what is spirituality? Closing your eyes quietly and thinking, oh, I'll have a cookie after I finish meditating. That is meditation. What meditation? No, I'm so spiritual. People say, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. Why? Because I seen the mountain and I seen the moonlight and it was so sublime. That is spirituality. That's not spirituality. Spirituality is you will understand the very heart of existence. You will see everything as spiritual, not material. So that's why the seven great sages, as also the four first Manus, who had their thoughts fixed on me. So they were born and their thoughts were fixed in God when they became creators. Their minds were not externalized by any kind of things. So when they created out of mind of God's mind. That is again an important thing. But that's a vast subject. We won't go into this, but then they had their thoughts fixed on me, so they emerged from mind. Now who are the seven sages? Bhrigu, Marichi, Atri, Pulastha, Pulasa, Kratu, and Vasishta. And Kratu, Pulastha, Manu, these are the seven sages. And this is a kind of representative. He's not given the whole list. There are, otherwise, according to Vedanta, the supreme reality becomes conditioned as the golden womb, Hiranyagarbha. And from the Hiranyagarbha emerges first the four mind-born children of Brahma. Brahma is the cosmic mind. Sanaka, Sanandana, Sanat Kumara, Sanat Sujata. So don't worry about the names and the kind of, these are old, very old Sanskrit names. In fact, in India, there's one thing. We trace a lineage to these sages. So they're saying which is the Gotra, which is your family, real family name. It goes down to this. So either it's Vasishta, Pulastha, Kratu, etc. So these were the original, you can say, progenitors. And then we have, in every cycle of creation, we have 14 great progenitors, Manus they are called. Why Manu? Because we have come from Manushya, mankind, humankind. That's why the word Mana. There's another meaning is because we have a mind, we have come from that Manu. So all beings who have sprung from the first progenitor called Manu have a mind. That includes trees also, plants also. The other day I was watching a small clip. They have some very sophisticated, you can say, audio equipment. They are listening to the gurgling of the sound of water as the trunk, the cells in the trunk are lifting water cell by cell by cell upwards. Amazing. It's a whole universe there itself. And we see the tree, stupid. No, it's not stupid. You talk to it, you try talking to it, it's going to respond. It means it has a mind. Yeah. So intelligence is all pervasive. So there are these 14 first progenitors called Manus from there. Everything that has come out from there, every living being is endowed with mind, has to be endowed with mind. Because in the beginning it was with mind, and the middle it will be with mind, and the end also it will be with mind. So there are these 14 huge, long names, but we are in the seventh. So 7 cycles. It's, whole creation is not just beginning and end. This began here, this began. No, sorry. Then you can say, you don't understand the concept of time. So it's cyclic, constantly is going on. There is no beginning point, there is no end point. If you have a beginning point, that will become the end point. So time, if it ends, is no time at all. Existence, if it ends, is no existence at all. What is kind of existence? So everything moves in waves. There's a manifestation, non-manifestation. Manifestation, non-manifestation. But it is there, present. So we are in the 7, the Vaivasvata Manu. So these cyclic, huge cycles of creation, running to billions of years. These guys, they had those concepts of billions of years even during those times. God. And after these 14 big cycles, then there is a kind of a huge, you can say, dissolution. Mahapralaya, and then again it comes up again. Mind-boggling. Those who have seen some of these old, you can say, Cosmos series of Carl Sagan, where he speaks, where he had gone to a place in India, Tamil Nadu, where he speaks about the cyclic nature of the universe. Amazing, billions and billions of years, where people are only thinking, oh, the world is nothing, a small mud puddle. There are some religions who say that, yeah, God has, that sun, you can say, sets in a mud puddle, a little water puddle. Yeah. And they wrote in the middle huge theologies. Imagine, when you have such a limited worldview, and you write theology, you are going to make your God also small. You have to have a vast worldview. Then your God also becomes vast. This is the idea. And this also happens with us. As we keep on growing in spirituality, our views, our worldviews change, and along with this worldviews, the worldviews of reality also change. Like I mentioned, is there a fundamental reality beyond time and space? Yeah. They are coming down to some of these fundamental questions. Okay. Stop here for now. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu. Yeah, we'll see what we can do about the question. I have a question. Is it easy to stay calm when something wrong physically happened to you, but if you have to witness a loved one suffering, then how do you? Then you don't remain calm, you go and serve that person who is suffering. That service itself will bring that kind of, you can say, integration. I'm not asking you to be kind of detached from people's sufferings. That is not the way. That is not religion at all. So people are suffering, that's what, nothing, I've got nothing to do. Your loved one is suffering, go and serve. Keep awake, serve, do everything. That will integrate you. You will be able to feel, you'll be able to lessen that pain. That pain is both physical as well as mental. So you will be able to reduce this. And modern medicine is good enough for so many things now. And see to it that a person regains their health. So I'm not asking you to stay calm and meditate when the person is suffering in front of you. Stay calm, stay quiet. No, that is, you don't misinterpret things like that. Okay. Yeah, so thank you.